This could be the moment we've been waiting for, the chance to feel alive. Nothing's gonna stop us, nothing's gonna top this, nothing like we've ever seen. And I raise my hands to the sky, what a feeling. 'Cause I feel like dancing high, got a feeling. Time to feel it. This is where it all begins.
Virtual festival goers to the 2020 Dollar Bank Three Rivers Arts Festival, a production of the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust. We're live from Pittsburgh and streaming around the world from the Dollar Bank Digital Main Stage. Tonight's show features the PHILLTER Festival Music Showcase with host Alexis Jabbour.
This is where it all begins.
Thanks, Sarah. Performance, human innovation, live loops, technology, education, renaissance. PHILLTER pushes the boundaries of the solo musician in live music. My name is Alexis Jabbour. I'm a lifelong Pittsburgh resident, a jack of all art trades, and the voice of PHILLTER. I'll be your host this evening. We have a fantastic lineup of music for you planned at the Three Rivers Arts Festival on the Dollar Bank Digital Main Stage. And we want to thank all of our friends at the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust for all of the hard work they had putting this festival together. Be sure to check out the virtual artist market while you're on the website, where you can find over 350 artist booths. I'm going to be here live with a dozen artists from all over the world. They're here in the PHILLTER virtual green room, swapping stories from their past trips to Pittsburgh for the PHILLTER Festival. And I have three artists live here in studio with me, visiting us in our safe and socially distanced location just north of Pittsburgh. Not only will you hear music from all of these artists this evening, but you have the chance to talk with them live right now in our virtual green room if you go to live.philter.com. First off, I'm going to introduce our first guest that's live with me here in the studio. This is Bob Banerjee, who
Alexis.
you might recognize from his article in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. How you doing, Bob?
Fantastic, Alexis. How are you? Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. So, let's get right into it. You play the violin.
Actually, yeah, it's a violin or a tuba, because it's a tuba four. Never. Yeah, no shortage of dad jokes, just violin jokes, that's all. So, yeah, that's good.
What made you pick up a violin and decide that you were going to live loop and not, say, play as part of a symphony?
Actually, it's because I have had a background coming from string ensembles and orchestrations. And being in an orchestra, I've always loved the sound that a full orchestra gives. And I love the way that it backs up singer-songwriters. So I got into live looping because I wanted to build a bigger sound than just one violin. I could essentially be my own string quartet, or I could add instruments to it to be my own band.
Nice, nice. And when you're imagining that music, how do you hear it in your head? Do you hear it as though an orchestra is playing it? Do you hear it with all of your loops?
That's a really good thought, because I don't know sometimes exactly what I'm playing until I'm playing it. But the main thing is, just like in an orchestra, that they have so many layered parts that are usually done by different instruments, I try to imagine it as being a band of independent kind of components like that, bringing it in. So that makes it fun, because I can layer a guitar, and then I can layer a mandolin, and I can layer multiple violins to it too. So it's kind of a fun thing.
Very exciting. What instruments are you going to play for us tonight?
I have all three of those. So one way, and of course with live looping, it's, you know, don't know if it's going to be one mistake. I guarantee we'll hear that over and over again. But that's the thrill of the creativity that we do.
It really is. All right. Well, I will let you go get ready for your performance. Thank you for joining me. While Bob sets up for his performance, let's see who's in the PHILLTER green room right now on Zoom. Let's see. We have violoncheloops from Guadalajara, Mexico. Brian Fitzy from Philadelphia. Jean-Paul DeRuver from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Sloan Malone from London. Brian Weaver right here in Pittsburgh. Butch Ross from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Lethal FX from Columbus, Ohio. And he's not in here yet, but we will be joined by Saul Paul from Austin, Texas. And live here in studio, we also have Katie Martin from Auburn, Alabama, and Napalm, originally from Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Looks like Bob is ready, so we're going to go over to Bob Banerjee. Wow, what a performance. Thank you, Bob. Now we're going to go to one of our virtual performances. Do we have Saul Paul from Austin, Texas?
Lord, I tried, still I feel so far, so short. Now I know one thing for sure, it can only be me, only be me. Lord, I tried, still I feel so far, so short. Now I know one thing for sure, it can only be me, only be me. Lord, I tried, still I feel so far, so short. Now I know one thing for sure, it can only be me, only be me. Lord, I tried, still I feel so far, so short. Now I know one thing for sure, it can only be me, only be me. Lord, I tried, still I feel so far, so short. Now I know one thing for sure, it can only be me, it can only be me. Lord, I tried, still I feel so far, so short. Now I know one thing for sure, it can only be me, it can only be me. I'm Saul Paul, musician with a message. I'm black. My life matters. My voice matters. My art matters. I'm a musician with the message. The truth is, I can only be me. This song is that. I'm on the carpet, so nervous, nerves to fail. I was on the curb, it's hurt, and I'm getting the smell. Ain't scared of jail, it seems that I'm afraid to bear. My soul exposed myself a little bit free without a care. They know it's because they gotta leave, but it's how I live my dream. So I chill like it is, much as my peers recognize seen. This I've been free from falling dreams and silent screams. I realize I can only be me. Yeah, I said, Lord, I tried hard, still I feel so far, so short. Now I know one thing for sure, I can only be me. I can only be me. Lord, I tried hard, still I feel so far, so short. Now I know one thing for sure, I can only be me. Yeah. You know what else I can be? I can be the change. That's what I recognize. I recognize everybody can be the change. The truth is, we all can be the change. We all live on the same planet, but the truth is, we each live in our own world. I encourage you to make a difference in the world you live in. Be the change. Yeah. Man. My destiny so clear to me. Problems ain't nothing but therapy. Prepare for me if I care to be. What God spoke and shared with me. He was there for me, cared for me. Out of my course carefully. The energy to be a blessing be. Whether the storm or the rest in peace. That was the Lord that testing me. Understanding just testing me. Dropping games for the lesson be. Get to the other side with the blessing be. Comes for the crush, the lesson G. But I'm too real and get the best of me. I recognize God with the best of me. Gotta be again to be investing me. Eyes as it gets a better return. With the way I'm built, just to better learn. Make it make sense, just wait my turn. The game's on tips, we players and perms. So I'm holding true, holding it down to make it do what it do. Life in the life in the penthouse view. When I got it right now, I gotta make the right move. Hey, I know what I now know. Maybe 5 years ago, yeah. I've been so far though, yeah. Ooh, but I can only be me. But since I got no time to shame, my shame right now must be the time for me. For me, if not, I still believe. Cause I can only be me. Goes down right now, 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 now. Goes down right now, 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 now. Goes down right now, 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 now. If you want right, then you shine right now, now. Goes down right now, 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 now. Goes down right now, 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 now. Goes down right now, 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 now. If you want right, then you shine right now, now. Goes down right now. It goes down right now. It goes down right now. Lord, I tried hard, still I feel so far, so short. Now I know one thing for sure. I can only be me. I can only be me. Lord, I tried hard, still I feel so far, so short. Now I know one thing for sure. I can only be me. I can only be me. Yeah. Saul Paul. SAULPAUL. Check me out, saulpaul.com. Black Lives Matters.
The interview you're about to see was actually recorded after the PHILLTER Festival. The night of the event, we had a little technical trouble. Saul Paul was trying to call us live from his car Wi-Fi, and we just couldn't keep the connection up, and we really wanted to make sure that you were able to hear from him. So tonight I am here with Saul Paul. How you doing?
I'm well.
Glad to have you back. Can you tell us a little about the song that we just heard in this recording that you played for the PHILLTER Fest?
Yeah, I played I Can Only Be Me. It was significant for me because it was the first song that I learned to play on my classical acoustic guitar. I love this sweatshirt here. It says hip hop grew up. I feel like that's me. I was pure hip hop, grew up, discovered the classical acoustic guitar, and then I discovered a loop pedal, which allowed me to do unique things like beatbox and layer and create music the way I heard it. And so, yeah, that's why I did I Can Only Be Me.
So I've been talking to everybody. How do you hear the music in your head? What is it that makes you want to live loop as opposed to just singing and playing your guitar just by themselves?
Yeah, when I discovered a loop pedal, like my mind was really blown. I didn't know it existed. It's not very common in my primary genre, my initial genre, right, hip hop. And then I discovered it, and I was like, whoa, this like works the way my brain works. Like I hear these random sounds. Like I'm here in my studio. I was combing my beard before we came on, and then I'm like, oh, this is actually, like, that sounds pretty cool. I could take this and I could loop it and then put a beat on top of that, and then play my guitar on top of that, and oh, I hear this melody, and then I could drop that out. And so I love loop pedals because they allow me to create music the way I hear it in my head. I don't really control what that works like. I get some water dripping, hear a siren, hear a sample, hear a loop, hear a melody, and then it's like, cool, I can just start. And it allows my creativity to flow. And I like to do a lot of stuff improvisational as well, on the spot, as well as like interact with the crowd. So a loop pedal is my favorite instrument because it allows me to do all that, get engaged people, crowdsource songs. Yeah.
Well, I actually have our PHILLTER co-founders, Mike Y and Phil Coachman, on the line.
Mike.
Why, man? Mike, why?
I'm from H-Town. Every time I hear Mike, I hear who. Like, and then somebody's supposed to say Mike Jones. But okay, yeah, Mike Y.
It's not Mike Jones. I used to keep my number on my T-shirt, but I'm repping some new gear today. I hope you like it.
I see. Hey, they look beautiful. I love it. I know. Now we have this moment. I'd like to thank y'all on camera. Salute for creating opportunities like this, spaces like this. The Three River Arts Festival, that's a big deal. PHILLTER Fest, holding it down for so long. And salute on the support for Be the Change, as well as the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the work that PHILLTER Fest will be doing in that space going forward, blazing trails. I'm excited to play a part of that.
We've been very excited to work with a very diverse group of musicians over the last 4 years as we've been putting together the PHILLTER Music Festivals to feature solo live innovation in music performance. Now, it's actually crazy because we actually spoke to a number of musicians. Some of them were out of the country due to Corona. In fact, Saul Paul, the reason we didn't have you on the same night and we had to get your video ahead of time was because you had a gig, right, that was postponed twice, right?
Yeah, postponed twice.
A live gig.
Luckily, we got to do that gig because now my state is shut down again. So
yeah. So we actually were so excited and so pleased, and thank you so much for taking the extra time on top of that gig to contribute to our festival, even though you ended up not being able to be physically present. That meant so much to us. And more importantly, we didn't see any point in trying to join another initiative when we already had an artist in the PHILLTER fold since year one, right? You were here with us year one.
I love it. Hey,
yeah, we had an artist in the fold that was already working hard, and so there was no point for us to reinvent the wheel here. We had an artist who was already taking a massive initiative of his own, so it just made sense to us to just buy the shirts and to support this Black artist who is in front of us leading a diversity initiative. But more than that, Saul Paul, thank you so much for agreeing to lead our diversity and equity and inclusiveness discussions leading forward. That means very much to us.
Well, I'm excited. The fact that we don't have to defund anything, we don't have to disrupt anything, blow up anything. We get to build it from scratch because PHILLTER Fest is new, and it's an opportunity to blaze the trail that others follow. Build it well, build it right. I'm excited about that.
Thanks, man. We appreciate that. And before you go, actually, Phil wants to talk to you about something too.
Yeah. Hey, SP, how you doing? Hey, before you go, I want to see, as we have our live event starting up next year again, how you would feel about being the first artist that we sign on to bring back up to Pittsburgh to play and get your message out. I think your message is so strong that people need to see it. They need to hear it. They need to see you in person.
That's love right there. Done. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I love it.
Like, it's that easy. Done.
Done. Beautiful. We'll be in touch after the interview to work out the details. Thank you so much for joining us on that.
I'm looking forward to it. Let's get it. Be the change. Thank y'all for being the change.
If you want any more information about Saul Paul's Be the Change initiative, you can go to his website, saulpaul.com. Thanks, Saul Paul. Good hearing from you. We'll be talking to you more a little later on tonight. Now we're going to check in with the PHILLTER virtual green room. How are we doing, guys? What's going on in the PHILLTER? Oh, it looks like we've got somebody in the PHILLTER virtual green room talking to the artists. You can also talk to any of the artists that you see here right now, live.philter.com. multi-instrumentalists.com. Next up, we're going to be hearing a little bit from one of our artists live in studio, Katie Martin. Katie is another of our live artists here. She is coming into us. She came here from Auburn, Alabama. Is that right?
Yes,
yeah?
that is right.
All right. How was that drive?
It wasn't bad. It stormed about halfway up here, but, it was still nice. Got to go through the mountains, so.
That is a beautiful drive. Now, Katie, how do you explain your style of music to people? We've already seen Bob perform a little bit tonight with his 4 instruments and his live loop pedal, and you do something similar. How do you tell that to someone that's never seen something like that before?
That's a hard one because it's hard to describe, and, throughout the years it's changed a lot. When I started, I was doing more singer-songwriter stuff, and then it's kind of just grown, and it's, sometimes it just depends on who you're being influenced by, which other artist. But I guess with looping, I try to describe it as layers. You get to build the song, you get to turn it into layers, you get to add lots of parts, lots of flavors. It's like making a good dish.
Yeah, okay.
Except I'm not a good cook, so.
But you are a great musician.
Yeah, maybe I cook better with music than food.
There you go, there you go. And how do you hear it when you're imagining your songs? How do you hear it in your head? Do you hear it as as just one instrument playing a bunch of, like the melody? Do you hear all of the instruments at once?
For me, it's more of a feeling. So I don't always know what it's going to sound like when I start. I have a feeling that I'm trying to create, and I do some experimenting until I find the sounds that make that feeling. Or like to convey it to a room of people. Because you can change a whole room just by the sounds you put into it,
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, thank you so much for talking with me a
Thank
little
you.
bit. I'll let you go and get ready for your performance. Once again, I'm Alexis Jabor. I'm the voice of PHILLTER and your host this evening, and we want to say another thank you to everybody at the Three Rivers Arts Festival and to all of you joining in to this performance on the Dollar Bank Digital Main Stage. You can support the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust by checking out the artist market right here on this website that you're at, and you can talk to any of the artists that you see on this stream at live.philter.com. Looks like Katie's ready. Let's go ahead and watch Katie's performance. Thanks, PHILLTER. That was an amazing performance. And let's check in and see if he is back in the virtual green room. Do we have PHILLTER here with us? Hey, that was an incredible performance, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alexis.
So that was a world debut, right?
Yeah, world debut.
What was the inspiration for that song?
Honestly, since the whole lockdown started, I wasn't really feeling inspired. But I had recently acquired this synth, so I started fooling around with it, and I feel grounded, right? Because I have to stay home, but I'm also after months and months of gigging constantly, it gives me a moment to set my feet down on earth again. So that song was like the thing that started coming out of me. Creatively. This is the first time I tried to do something of my own since the lockdown started.
Well, it turned out really beautifully. Thank you so much for doing that with us tonight. We're going to be back with the PHILLTER Virtual Green Room in just a minute, and you too could be back with the PHILLTER Virtual Green Room if you go to live.philter.com. This is PHILLTER live at the Three Rivers Arts Festival. And now I'm going to take a second and talk to some guests that I have in studio here with me. Over here we have Phil Coachman and Mike Y, who are the founders of the PHILLTER Festival. How you doing, guys?
Good. Thanks, Alexis.
Yeah, Alex.
So, like our interview with Saul Paul, I am talking to Mike and Phil after the fact. We had them live in the studio the day of the Three Rivers Arts Festival. They were there the whole time. We had different technical difficulties. Instead of the internet, it was a camera that broke.
Yeah, we had a camera out the whole time, and we didn't know until after we saw the production, but obviously we didn't see it live. And so there was this great shot of Phil. I mean, it was awesome. It was an awesome shot. It was great. And then the back of my head.
Glad to have you guys on with me tonight. People have been seeing a whole lot of really amazing musicians. I said it to Saul Paul, and I mean it. Every time I see one of these performances, I am blown away. How did you guys see one of these performances, which is truly amazing, but go all the way to, you know what, let's make a whole music festival?
Yeah, thanks, Alexis and Mike. I mean, to really appreciate what these artists do, to see them take music and technology, meld it together, build layer upon layer as they build a track on stage right in front of you, it's something that you have to see to really appreciate the artistry that's going into that. And we thought that there's no better place to do this than Pittsburgh right now.
Okay, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. So a PHILLTER artist is incredibly talented, incredibly versatile, and we've seen a lot of the PHILLTER acronym here tonight. We've seen live looping, we've seen technology, we've seen human innovation, but the E in PHILLTER stands for education. Can you speak a little to what a PHILLTER artist has to do with education?
Yeah, absolutely, Alexis. So as a parent of two, I wanted my kids, I wanted my neighbors' kids, and kids around the world to see that there is a way that they could express themselves with music and arts that doesn't involve violence, it doesn't involve video games, it's actually making something, getting their hands on and doing something. Even if they don't fit into band or orchestra or other ways of producing music. So for me and my family, it's had a huge impact. My son is starting a STEM project where he's building his own live looper with a Raspberry Pi. So when you look at that and you say, well, we also want to take this to schools as a high touch, a high impact, but a low cost way to bring arts back into schools, especially schools that are losing their arts programs because of defunding. I think it's a huge initiative for us.
Yeah, it's a kind of my biggest regret that the E in PHILLTER kind of had to be a little bit more silent this year. The first 3 years of our festival, we have made it a point to integrate the artists that we bring in for the PHILLTER Music Festival events into the community. They have gone to schools and also partnered with organizations. Last year, for example, we did the Kids Play event through the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership, where we're working with students, but also we took a stop with some singer-songwriters at Acoustic Cafe, and we were actually able to create an event that helped musicians educate themselves about technology. So we, the E is the most important thing for us. We don't just want people to learn about what filter music is, but we want to take filter music and the aspects that can help classrooms, especially those that are, like Phil said, getting underfunded in the arts. And when their A is silent, if our E is silent, when their A is silent, and they don't have money for STEAM initiatives, the technology aspect of the way the music is created fits directly with STEM budgets, and it offers schools an opportunity to address the problem of arts in their schools a different way and hopefully give them some options.
So there are a lot of advantages to being a filter artist, not just performances, but they have education opportunities with the technology aspect. There's a lot of reduced travel costs. It's a lot easier to book gigs when you only have to schedule one person. But I must imagine that there are some disadvantages to being a filter artist. Could you speak to any of those?
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is an easy one for me. I've lived this life. The world we're living in, I think, creates some specific opportunities and some specific challenges for all musicians. But when it comes to filter artists, these are self-starting, very, very hard-working artists who have really worked throughout their communities and also touring, many of them internationally and nationally, to help engage people with what they do. So it was just natural that we brought them together, because that is a big challenge for them, is like kind of showing the people the how and the why, as well as what is being made. And so I know firsthand about the challenges of trying to explain what you're doing to an audience. And so through the power of video tonight, we've actually created some things where, the GoPro shot, that MIDI Pipe did, so you can actually see, you can live life as a filter artist.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That was insane. Like, there's no way in the world I would have ever thought to do that video. Now, with regard to the world we're living in, obviously, I think there's a lot of challenges out there, but there is an incredible opportunity. We've been jokingly saying that, we've been advocating for the world's most COVID compliant bands. I toured 1 year in a Nissan Versa. I mean, that's a pretty small car. But also I could walk into a show, say nothing to anybody, set up my gear, play the whole show, pack up and leave. Now, I don't, as you can tell, I like to talk quite a bit, but it can be done, and you can be done at safe distances. So we're very excited about creating some opportunities there. Now, with regard to challenges, I think that really visits the other thing that we're really dealing with now, which is equity, particularly when it comes to socially oppressed groups, people of color. We have always felt that we've been a very inclusive organization and that we've curated sonic diversity. And so with sonic diversity, we believe comes a wide array of demographic diversity. With that said, though, a specific challenge that we hadn't thought about until we've been at this point of the project was that as a result of being fearful to leave your home or your neighborhood because of being hurt or killed because of the color of your skin, poses a significant travel risk for any artist who is going to be traveling alone through the nation and the country. And I have experienced the dangers of travel solo firsthand, but I couldn't imagine in a million years doing so because I was afraid for my life, because of how I looked or anything else that defined me. So this is actually probably going to be one of Phil and I's last public appearances outside of, being on stage and thanking someone. It has always been our intent to move forward with this project, and it's been an absolute pleasure and delight, at least on my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a life-changing experience, no question, to have gotten it filter this far. But because of the COVID situation, we think that there's no better time to create live music for people and to work on programs that do that with our extremely most successfully COVID compliant bands. But also, we're a young organization, and we know that it's very easy now to make changes. It's very easy now to make changes that last. And so Phil and I are going to be stepping back in the filter leadership. We're not leaving the organization at all, but we are going to be stepping back, and we're going to be pushing filter forward and establishing a full organization with a wide array of different educational and outreach components. And for that, we are 100% committing tonight that the first hire that we make will not only be somebody having their first leadership opportunity in this kind of role, but it will also be a qualified person of color. This is an easy thing for us to do. And moving forward past this point, as an organization and as people, we'd like to continue to have filter defined on its actions rather than on anything we say.
Thank you guys for that.
No problem. This is our pleasure.
Thank you, Alexis.
Napalm, originally from Greensburg, now living in New York City, is a beatboxer and is getting himself settled into my interview zone.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
I got you a present.
Sweet.
So you're gonna be beatboxing for us tonight, is that right?
Yes, I am. I'm a beatboxer.
So I don't know a whole lot about beatboxing, and I'm really curious. When you come up with your songs, do you hear it in your head as instruments? Do you hear it as beatboxing? Tell us a little about that.
Well, for different ways of making music, I have different mindsets. Like beatboxing is a very, very, very honest and expressive way to kind of make music, because it's straight up making noises out of your mouth. Like you can't not be honest about it. When it comes to like looping and stuff like that, and more like composing songs, I definitely put more thought into the emotion of it, like sound-wise, harmony-wise, musically. But when it comes to beatboxing, I really just stick to more rhythmic type things that like let me kind of express emotions and how I feel. It's a mixture of everything, though. Some beatboxers out there, they're composers with their beatboxing. They straight up make complete composed songs, while other people are complete freestylers. They have no idea what they're doing, but both of them are really good. So
yeah, definitely.
A lot of different mindsets.
Can you give us a little tease, a little demonstration of like some real basic? What's like the first thing that you would teach me if you were teaching me how to beatbox?
First thing, people always say it: boots and cats.
Boots and cats.
Because boots and cats and boots and cats. And that's pretty much the three basic sounds: the kick drum, the hi-hat, and then the snare. With those three sounds, you could really do the craziest beats in the world, just with those ones.
Wow.
That's a little bit more
all
than
that.
Cats, though.
A little more than I think I have time to learn in our interview tonight. Well, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
And I'm going to let you go and get ready for your performance.
Everything you're about to hear is all from the mouth. Check it. Just flowing on the beat. Just flowing on the beat. When the pimp's in the crib, man, drop it like it's hot. Get it down. Keep it real. Switch. You can roll like this, like. Take it down.
Thank you very much for listening. Leave a comment if you really, really enjoyed it. Tell me what you think about it. Up next, I'm going to do something unprecedented. I'm going to use the same beats that I just showed you now, combined with looping technology. I can't even explain more, just watch.
Yeah. Heard you like that trap music, that trap music. Heard you like that trap music, that trap music. You like that trap music, that trap music. Heard you like that trap music, that trap music. Heard you like that trap music, that trap music. Heard you like that trap music. That trap music. Heard you like that trap music, that trap music. Heard you like that trap music, that trap music. Heard you like that trap music, that trap music.
And that's how you do it, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got a lot of crazy artists coming up. My name is Napalm, like I said. Make sure you stay tuned. It's going to be insane. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
What's up, Pittsburgh? I'm Brian Fitzy. I'm so hyped to be playing for you here at the Three Rivers Arts Festival, repping PHILLTER music. This song's called Dream. Standing here on top of the world, bright lights and flashy cars, and I wouldn't change a thing if I knew where you are. When you lose your imagination, you got shaded, your passion faded. I never waited for you to make it, and now you're so far. Life can be anything that you dream. You got everything that you need to set yourself free. Follow me. Together we can do anything you dream. yourself free. Follow me. Together we can do anything you dream. One more time. Life can be anything that you dream. We got everything that we need to set ourselves free. So follow me. Together we can do anything you dream. All right, yeah, chance if nothing's grown by your side. Lose yourself in alibis. Here we go. One by one. One by one. Never in love, it's gone too far. I know just who you are, or who you don't want to be anymore. Never in love, enough's enough. One by one. One by one. And be yourself. Believe in you and know what else. Identify. Lose yourself in somebody else's lies. Oh, one by one. One by one. Never in love, it's gone too far. Do I know just who you are, or who you don't want to be? Anymore. Here we go. Never loved enough, enough. 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 Never loved enough, enough.
Thank you, Fitzy and Jean-Paul de Rover. Let's check in with our artists in the Filter virtual green room, which you can also be part of at live.philter.com. And it looks like we got some new faces in the virtual green room. Saul Paul, you made it in. That was a killer performance, man.
Thank you. Woo! Filter Fest 2020. Let's go.
All right. Lethal FX. You dropped right when I started to say hi to you earlier because technology knows and decided to spite me. Right? How's it going over there in Columbus? Oh no, did we drop again? Oh no,
Is he there? I'm still here. Is he there?
Here's Lethal FX.
Is that oak or elmwood?
You know, that's a good question. We are broadcasting live out of Phil's
Asking
barn.
the real questions.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
right?
No softballs from Saul Paul.
I didn't prep for that one, man. I wasn't ready. Let's check in with Brian Fitzy, who we saw just a couple songs ago. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'll stop going so fast so we can get these artists on the screen. Fitzy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. You're over in Philadelphia, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a killer song. So tell us a little about your process when you imagine you're putting a song together. What does that process look like? Do you hear the whole thing? Do you start with just one instrument?
That's a good question. Sometimes it'll start with lyrics. Sometimes it'll start with instruments. Usually I'm sitting at an instrument that's both harmonic and melodic, so like a guitar or a piano. And I'll flesh out some stuff. And I mean, I think just like anybody else's process, you create, there are these bursts, at least for me. Sometimes I'll write a song in its entirety in one setting, and then other times fragments of not just one song, but several songs. And eventually throughout the process of writing, they coalesce and you take different pieces from here and there and you assemble a final composition. So it's always different. It always depends on where the inspiration came from and when it hit me.
I mean, yeah, that sounds like a lot of art. Sometimes you do it all at once. Sometimes you just do it as the inspiration strikes.
Yeah.
Well, whatever that inspiration was, it was good.
Thank you.
It was real fun to listen to. And we just heard from Jean-Paul de Rover. I remember seeing that song many years ago at Mr. Small's Funhouse around Thanksgiving time.
Loopskiving, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old school.
And you're coming to us from Thunder Bay, Ontario?
That's right. Yeah, I'm your neighbor to the north.
So what's your process like?
Well, you kind of talk about like the ideas of what you kind of hear in your head, and for me, I've always what I do with live looping has always to me been like an imperfect approximation of what I want the song to be with like a band. So I've always imagined performing with an ensemble, with strings, with whatever, and like when I live loop, it's always in the back of my brain. I'm like, this is kind of close to where I want it to be in terms of the finished product. So for me, live looping has always been an imperfect thing because it's never quite exactly what I want, but it's the best way that I can sort of demonstrate how and what it is that I want to get off my chest in a performance kind of setting.
Well, it works. I mean, I would certainly not call that song imperfect by any stretch.
Well, thank you. But it's one of those things where at a certain point, there's kind of two schools of thought where it can either be a song that's sort of designed for the technology, or it's a song that's written and then adapted to the technology. And I feel like I started off in the first camp, and then I switched to the second half throughout the second part of my career because I started realizing that I was writing songs for the gear rather than writing songs for the songs. Mm-hmm. So as of late, I've been writing more songs that I've then been trying to like figure out how can I make this, like how can I fit this into like this little square box that I'm playing with in terms of making it perform and make it do the things I want it to do in a live setting.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us and sharing your song with us tonight. Just saw that amazing first-person perspective video from MIDI Pipe, who
that MIDI feed was
there
amazing.
he is. I was like, don't leave. We're gonna talk to you. MIDI Pipe wow, that was an amazing performance, but also just so incredible to be in your shoes. What gave you the idea to put a camera on your head?
Yeah. So what I want to do with this video is just to let the people know what I'm doing, not just physically, but in mind. In my kind of looping, I will never know what is next. I mean, I can start with a bass line, but maybe after that bass line, I don't have to make the drums. Maybe yes, maybe no. So every time that I'm routed by instruments, as Butch says before, every time that I'm routed by instruments, I let the instruments to surprise me because I see them. It's just like if I go to see an orchestra playing Mahler or Brahms or Beethoven, I just don't know what's going next, what's going on. So I just feel that the bassoons are coming next, but maybe the oboes do. So what I want to do is like I feel a lot like Butch Rose says before. I just let the instruments, they tell me what they need. It's just because when you're with a cat or with a dog, you trying to be just so charming with this dog or with this cat, but maybe the cat just want to look at you and say, yeah, I have 2 notes for you. So the bass line maybe just 2 notes and goes. So for me, live looping is like I know what I want to hear, but I don't know what instruments have to do that. So for me, I was that's what I was telling before. Mistake is so important because every mistake, every wrong note for me leads me to something that maybe it is not the right note or the right instrument, but the right sound. The right sound for me and for the people. That's how I create this song. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard while you were playing, I heard Brian say earlier that there's no what was it? There's no wrong note. There's only more wrong notes or something like that. Like that first wrong note.
Yeah.
That's a great paraphrase, right?
Yeah.
It's like that
They
first
know, they know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yes.
They know.
You know, you can take, you play a wrong note,
vamping.
but
You got to vamp
whatever
off
you
of
can
it. Yeah.
go after that, it could turn into something that's still incredible, even if it's not the way you originally intended it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you, MIDI Pipe, for joining us. If anybody wants to talk to these artists, including
Big hugs from Mexico. Big hugs from Mexico.
Thank
We love
you.
Pittsburgh. Really.
Thank you. You can talk to them at live.philter.com. And I'm going to pivot and check in on Sloan Monroe. Hello.
Hey.
And you're coming to us from London, is that right?
Not currently, but usually yes.
Usually, okay.
Yeah.
And we're about to hear something from you. So can you tell us a little bit about your process, about how you translate the sound from inside your mind to out here in real life?
Yeah. So the song you're going to hear next is actually, I'm primarily a violinist. I love classical music, jazz, blues, all of that. And I've been doing that predominantly in my looping, and that all comes out. So I wanted to, I don't know, I started experimenting with my vocals a little while ago, and I wanted to write a song that kind of showcased that a little bit more, but also, you know, with my violin. So it's kind of, yeah.
Something a little different for you then? Trying new things out?
It is a little different for me. I was trying to figure out, so my loop compositions in the past have primarily just been instrumental. So trying to figure out a way to, you know, keep a vocal piece interesting, I guess, as well as the loop interesting, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a challenge trying to wedge vocals in for me. So
yeah. Well,
but I'm happy with the product, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah, I hope we do. I mean, I'm sure we will. I'm gonna let you. It's live. I'm gonna let you go and get ready for that.
Yeah.
And let's check in with it. Do I have Butch Ross? Butch Ross.
I'm here.
Hey man, we're gonna be seeing your performance a little later on tonight. In like 20 seconds, can you give us a little tease of what we're gonna hear?
You're gonna see me play a Radiohead song with a electric mountain dulcimer and a ukulele.
Electric mountain dulcimer are not three words I ever expected to hear back to back before.
That's how I like to do things.
All right, well, we're looking forward to that. And it looks like Sloan Monroe is ready to go. So we are going to listen to Sloan Monroe.
Questions and the answers like how to age with grace, paying taxes, healthcare access, fixing tears in my jeans. Even in love, can't give up on every ambition close to my heart. Whoops, I didn't know you wanted that. Should've told me you wanted me back. Now it's too late for that. You see, as soon as you put me down, didn't want me around, try to push me out, I left. I had a good cry, tears are red, I stained my shirts till they were wet. Now you're back and can understand that I'm immune to all of your charms. Whoops, you thought you could win me back. Too bad I got someone who has what you lack. And babe, that's the crack. I'm loving him in black and white, like Marilyn I'm loving him in black and white, like Beverly and Tom and 55. You're back from the past to fit to my groove, but jealousy never made any bed look good. Jealousy never made any man look good. No, jealousy never made a man look good. I said jealousy never made any man look good. No, jealousy, no, it never made a man look good. No, it never makes it good. Jealousy don't make you look good. Jealousy ain't no good. Thank you.
Get myself unmuted for them. Hey, everybody. And we're about to hear a song from Brian Weaver. Brian Weaver, how you doing? Oh,
Doing great.
there we go. Good. Good to hear it. And where are you coming to us from again?
I'm coming here from Pittsburgh, PA.
That's right. Hometown. So tell us, how do you hear the music in your head, and how do you translate it to your performance?
Oh, that's a great question. So kind of earlier on, some of the musicians were having discussion about that and how we create music. And one way is you create with the technology in mind. So this is an example of that, where I specifically wrote this song for this event using a flanger pedal, a distortion pedal, and an octave pedal with the looping pedal that allows me to create these different parts and kind of weave them all together.
Amazing. And you said you wrote it for this event, so this is also a world debut.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Amazing. So we're going to hear it first from you. All right. Well, thank you, Brian. If anybody wants to talk to Brian or any of our other artists, that is live.philter.com. You can get into this artist virtual green room right now. But first, we're going to hear this world debut from Brian Weaver. We got a couple more people to talk to. Butch Ross. So thank you for that song, Butch. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your process. What made you decide to pick up the multi-instrumentalist life?
I kind of always wanted to be a multi-instrumentalist. I think I was when I was very, very young, I was very into U2, but I could never decide if I wanted to be Bono or The Edge. So I just thought I would do both.
Yeah, that's a fair solution. And it turned out pretty well.
So far, yeah, I'm really happy with the whole, whatever this is. And my favorite part is probably that I can't tell you what this is. So.
Yeah, it's really alluring, this like sort of indescribable quality of making all of these things happen at the same time. It's really amazing to watch up close.
I kind of liken it to, you remember like back on those old talk shows, those guys that would come on and like spin plates and they have the different plates on the sticks. I feels like that, like they're all wobbling a little bit. And it's just, how long can you keep the plate spinning? I feel that's what it feels like. So, but I love that. I love that part of it, the kind of the danger.
Yeah. Yeah. The thrill of live performing. Well, it turned out really well.
Thanks.
So thank you for coming to us. Remember, you can talk to these artists. They're going to be online a little bit longer in the green room, live.philter.com. And we have one more song for you from Lethal Effects, coming to us out of Columbus.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm fresh off work and just ready to play some live loops for you guys.
Excellent. So you got a bunch of stuff set up there. Tell us a little bit about the instruments that are around you.
Technology kind of took over for me a few years ago when I got my first loop station and learned what I could do with it. Then I got a couple of synthesizers. I personally started as a beatboxer and a producer, mostly in hip hop and EDM, but I got all this gear and all this hardware and started building it up over the years and realized a lot of it could be plugged into each other and a lot of it can MIDI sync with each other on timing. So I can drop a beatbox and set the timing for all these instruments, press one button and let it all do its thing. So it's been really fun to take a journey with the technology and see where it can lead.
Wow. I mean, describing that sounds like more like computer programming than music, but it is. It's both. That's amazing. All right. Well, I want to thank you to everybody for joining us in the virtual green room. We've got, if you jump into the virtual green room, you can see all of their social media handles. Please check out and support all of these amazing artists. And thank you everyone who's been watching the stream this evening. Thank you everyone who's been watching the stream this evening. Thank you. Thanks for having me with you guys. I'm not much of a multi-instrumentalist myself, but I've been really honored to be here with all of you listening to this amazing music. Taking us out now for the night is Lethal FX.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Lethal FX from right here in Columbus, Ohio. Check it out. Imagine one day everything could go back to normal. But what is normal? Yo, once again, my name is Lethal Effects. You can check me out at www.lethaleffects.com. Thank you guys for tuning in.
PHILLTER Live 2020.